Have you missed it? Like, do you guys think, I should have got in on Bitcoin?
I don't spend a lot
5 years ago.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is something that certainly a lot of people think, is going to rise as an alternative currency.
The Australian Bitcoin Podcast, presented by Heartblock.
It's not a currency, it's not money. I don't understand it.
G'day. Welcome to the Australian Bitcoin Podcast, episode 105, where we bring you the signal, the Bitcoin signal from the Australian perspective. And today, gratefully joined by my co-host, Mike. Hello, mate.
Howdy, mate. How you going?
And yeah, good. And a very special guest, Stan. Now, I've got in bold and question mark captain of the Bitcoin cricket team based in the beautiful Swan Valley over in Western Australia. Did I get that right, Stan? And g'day.
It is technically right. Thanks for having me, guys. Yes, super excited to be here.
Now, obviously, as per usual, we're going to unpack the fortnight in terms of news and current affairs within the Bitcoin ecosystem over the last couple of weeks, all while being mindful of slagging off the government in case we end up in prison for 5 years for hurting some bureaucrats' feelings. And, well, I suppose this is for the folk who still don't mind catching the game last night and talking about it by the water cooler or on a podcast. But personally, I'm excited to talk to both of you about cricket and Bitcoin, especially considering the Big Bash finals are near. And although it was a bit of a washout last night between the Hurricanes and the Stars, with the DLS defeat, the carryover champions, they're out of the league. But Stan, I reckon you'd be a Scorchers fan.
Scorchers fan, yep, through and through. So it's been a good 10 or however many years we've gone through it. So hoping for another one now.
Yeah, Roger. Well, yeah, we'll get to all the cricket talk and the sport talk. For those of you who regularly tune into the Australian Bitcoin Podcast and want the deep dive technical analysis and some of the other sort of Bitcoin political related rants, I don't know, it might be a little light on today. We'll see. Mike's pretty fired up about a couple of things, which is always good. But we're recording on the 22nd of Jan. Block height is 933,310. Current network hash rate is sitting just above a Zeta hash 1047. The current price of Bitcoin, let me get this in real time. I had 90,000 US dollary dues, but it's dipped just below that to 89,795, which puts us around 132,228 Pacific pesos, which curiously is experiencing a little bit of modest gains against the cuck buck, up around 1.3% over the last month, and if you can believe it, up 8%. Over the last 12 months. So I'm not sure what's going on there. What is that? Is it the tariffs?
The tariffs. Well, the tariffs, Trump just rolled out another set of tariffs on Europe over the Greenland spit the dummy moment that he's having over there. And that was what caused the recent sort of whipsaw activity in the price. I can't really comment on what's happening with the Aussie dollar specifically. I think we talked about it last time that our economic complexity outlook's not good. Everything's kind of in the toilet
Botswana?
in general. Yeah, Botswana's pulled ahead of us. A couple of other African countries are more economically complex than us. We'll get there one day, maybe. But yeah,
maybe Trump could invade Australia and
honestly, at this point, I'll take it. Like After following our illustrious government and parliament on Tuesday with their the new laws that they've just forced through, give us Trump, give us anything else.
Well, we might as well cut out the middleman. We're effectively exporting all the raw materials anyway. It's not like we're getting our cut. So, I dare say we're just remove it and just let's let imperialism reign.
Yep. We need it. So yeah, I mean, I've just been a bit despairing over this, over the laws and stuff. So forgive me if I'm not up to my usual standard in Bitcoin terms specifically. So hopefully you guys can save me a bit.
I think
Drag
we
into the
can.
dubs, can't it? That stuff, well and truly.
I find that it just doesn't help to dwell on it, and that my base case is that they will continue to do silly things, egregious things, make stupid decisions, effectively make your life, I guess, at least on paper, that much harder. And so if that's the base case, kind of just make peace with that and focus on what you can control in front of you as reality hits you. Yeah, I don't know. I've been there, I've done that. And it didn't serve me well at all. Well, Bitcoin's been trading. It's been ranging. It's been crabbing. It's the wankerish price action continues over the past fortnight with a little bit of moderate volatility. Everyone woke up. I think it was earlier in this week, and it was sort of pushing 95,000 US cuck bucks. And a lot of people were calling it like it's going to rip now. This is it. And then others were like, of course, well, this is a bull trap. And it's dipped back down to sort of 90,000. It's been sitting around there, which is kind of like a little bit of a malaise right now. Do you have any questions? Any comments rather, Mike or Stan, in regards to the Bitcoin price? Is it affecting your mood?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even a week ago, I was feeling good. I thought we were back. Last time we recorded, I kind of thought we were back on track in terms of solid gains, and we kind of gotten out of the doldrums after we shit the bed back in November. I thought we were back, and then just the last few days, everything's gone to shit. And there appears to be a few reasons why that people are pointing to. There's the Trump tariff thing in Europe now over Greenland. There's this Japanese bond yield issue that's reared its head and caused a bunch of chaos there. More and more people are flying into gold and silver, and it's just a bit grim over the last few days. But a week ago I was feeling good. I was happy for once, and then it's been taken away from me.
Well, happiness is a muscle, Mike, and you got to exercise it yourself. No one's going to exercise it for you. I just smile through the pain. Stan, how's the price affecting your mood?
Yeah, look, it depends where you're concentrating, how much time you're spending on crypto Twitter, right? That's not great to be on at the moment, that's for sure. So I've been avoiding that, and I typically do, especially if price is going sideways and the comments around it being pretty doom and gloom for Bitcoin. It wasn't that long ago we had an all-time high, so yeah, I try not to concentrate on the price and look at the other metrics to make sure it keeps me laser focused.
Yeah, the price is an interesting one in that it does, whether or not you're as zen as you think you are and you adhere to the peaceful life meme or not, maybe you're fresh to it or whatever, and you're going to be more affected to the price, I guess, the newer you are to Bitcoin, and you certainly, I think, learn over time to put it in the background a little bit, but you can't escape this notion, this sort of nagging feeling of, come on, let's at least just do something. I mean, there's that beautiful meme. That was the white ninja meme, I think, where he's just poking and it's like, come on, do something, and then it'll either drop or it'll rip higher or whatever it is. And you can't escape that external feeling that it gives you, whether it's elation or despair. It's interesting. I wonder if there's any psychologists out there that are studying the impact of Bitcoin price action on the average Bitcoiner.
Wouldn't that be a study, hey?
Well, it's definitely not doing what a lot of people kind of expected it to. This kind of global geopolitical strife that's causing chaos and havoc in all markets. That's what a lot of Bitcoiners were like, okay, well, this is what Bitcoin's for. This is why you can have a flight to safety in a very convenient asset. You don't have to go back to gold and silver and real basic stuff like that. And so the question is why? Why aren't people treating Bitcoin as that flight to safety that it truly is? and obviously seeing price action as a result of that, despite all this geopolitical chaos. Because Bitcoin doesn't care, the protocol doesn't care. As you said, Stan, other than the price, the regular metrics for Bitcoin, they're all chugging along just as healthily and as normally as they always have. It's just the price doesn't seem to be reflecting, the sentiment that it is that flight to safety, and thus people should get it, and then the price should accumulate. We're not seeing that. So the question is why? And I've thought about it a little bit, and it just seems to me that it's just, again, enough people are just not aware of it. There's just not enough awareness in that normie sphere of, frame of mind, that they're like, oh crap, all this geopolitical strife is happening. What do I do? What do I grab? And they're just defaulting back to gold and silver instead of the much easier alternative.
You see, educational arbitrage. It's asymmetry. And the fact is that not a lot of people have read the Easy Bitcoin book, the ones that need to read it, you see, because the ones, I guess, with the deep pockets, the deep liquidity, they're using gold as I guess, like a ballast to sort of balance their portfolios. What do they call it? It was a trade that was on last year. It was a sound money trade or a hard money trade, or I can't remember the precise term that they were all using, but effectively that's what it meant was, they're rotating into hard assets. And so gold is obviously a huge cornerstone of that because of its millennia of track record. Yep. And then silver, that's been ripping higher, and it, I guess, it has the volatility that the traders can leverage to make quick gains in and out, trading in and out of that thing. And it's kind of like cosplaying as money, I guess. And not a lot of people have quite grokked to the soundness and the fundamentals, the essential nature of Bitcoin, and the fact that you could literally just bypass all of that and just rotate any kind of capital that you thought was at risk into the soundest, hardest money the world has ever known. And it's just because people don't get it yet.
Yeah, and the problem is these bubbles, right? Like we're seeing this message on this podcast, but most of the people listening to this podcast will be Bitcoiners that already understand the fundamentals of why sound money is important, which I guess is why it's more important that guys like you are here, Stan, because you kind of have that Venn diagram. You're in that Bitcoin space, but then you're in the cricket space, and you're able to talk to folks that just haven't already been, exposed to the ideas that Bitcoin holds. And so you're kind of just you're moving the spotlight a little bit more to capture some of those folks that would otherwise just not even know it existed, to suddenly putting that idea in their head.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair comment. I go back to thinking what I was like when I first heard of Bitcoin. And I was from a finance background, which probably makes it worse in honesty. But I remember sort of, all the things that I went through from a mental hurdle perspective, and, that those questions that I was asking at the time, if there were any at all, that's no different to what people who are new to Bitcoin are asking now in a lot of ways. So I found, particularly in the space that I'm in, expectation setting and keeping the expectations low. Awareness is good. Awareness is a start, and people will learn at their own pace. I think because we know how amazing Bitcoin is, and the fact that this revolutionary technology is going to be part of everyone's future, whether they know it or not. The fact that we know that, I think, creates this urgency, or this element within us. We just want to help, so it can create a level of expectation that might not be fair for some of the new Bitcoiners or people just trying to learn.
Yeah, I got to try and mitigate, and it's something I've been working on personally, trying to mitigate that sense of evangelicalism. I don't know what she is, but like being so passionate about this thing, it's like the door is open. Just walk across when you're ready. Like the teacher will appear when the student is ready, sort of thing. And we who are in this space maybe think about it every single day. Definitely think about it every single day. We kind of see these people that haven't quite get it yet. They're rotated. They're lining up to buy gold from ABC Bullion or silver coins or whatever the case may be. And we're like tearing our hair out going, what are you doing? Come over the bridge. Like, we've got it. It's sorted. and you can't force them. You've just got to let them figure it out and so be patient, I guess. And that's not always easy, particularly if you're running a business that relies on people adopting Bitcoin and buying it.
And at least you've got that space that, when people are ready, they've got the education there, they've got the resources they can lean into free of charge. They've got the podcasts, the videos, all those sort of things. So at least you're setting you're creating an environment for when they are ready. Great, we're here and we're waiting.
Yeah, right on. Now, I read a headline on bitcoinnews.com, and it said Peter Brandt. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Peter Brandt. He's been around for a little while. It was one of those kind of niggling Bitcoin nigglers back in sort of the 2020 era, I guess, disparaging Bitcoin. But anyway, he says that it's likely headed, the price, around 58 to 62,000 as technical weakness persists. This is Peter Brandt. He's a veteran trader, I guess, and no disrespect to the boomers, but this is kind of the narrative. Like, it's the same with the Peter Schiff. Like, maybe it's the name Peter. I don't know. But what do you think? Are we going to drop from here to sort of that 60K range, or we just kind of crab along and rip higher at some point?
I don't think so. I mean, we saw what's the other big financial bigwig that everyone sort of lauded over everything he said, who then dropped off the face of the earth 6 months ago? Michael Burry, I think.
They made a movie about him.
Yeah, he's the guy that everyone was kind of lauding over as this financial messiah, and then he made a wrong claim and ended up having to close his whole investment company down as a result of how badly his call was made.
This is like Big Short 2. I'm waiting for that movie.
Yeah, and it's just like it could have easily been a coin flip, and it could have gone the other way, and he'd be back, pushed in the spotlight. Oh, look, he's such a genius. It's probably the exact same thing with Mr. Brandt here. He even says it himself. I looked at the article. He says it himself. I'm don't troll me, don't screenshot me, and don't troll me because I'm wrong 50% of the time. Like, he says it himself, he's wrong 50% of the time.
It's such a cop out, honestly.
Exactly. It's
just
like,
why say anything then?
Yeah, why say anything if it's just a 50-50 chance? Like, it's useless information.
That could be a defense against these new hate speech laws. You could just say, look, don't take what I say as verbatim. I'm just like saying I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
That's the defense.
So I think it's irrelevant. Come with actual analysis, and come with actual meaningful ideas. Don't just come with and drop a random statement of where you think the price is going, and then add on this disclaimer saying, "Oh, I'm only 50% sure this is going to happen." Well, then why even bother posting? The reality is, the Bitcoin price is going to be whatever the market wants it to be. It's based on sentiment. It's based on who's buying it and who's selling it. So the thing to watch is just what keeps happening in geopolitics. How the Trump administration keeps going along with its stuff. How much the Clarity Act and the Genius Act and the stablecoin stuff is going to impact on global markets and crypto sentiment. The thing that seems to be dampening a lot of stuff is the treasury companies are continuing to eat shit since October and before that actually as well, and that'll definitely continue. I'm fully off the treasury company bandwagon. I think that's a silly prospect at this point, and it seems to only continue to be a silly prospect. So yeah, the overall outlook. He says 58K, 68K. Nah, I think we're going to keep shitting around this current mark of...
This is the floor.
I think we're going to... it'll hover around it. We'll continue to crab around this 85, 90K, 92K, and this could go for ages. I don't think we're going to rapidly spike out of it, and I don't necessarily think we're going to rapidly go any lower. I think it's just going to keep shitting the bed. And the overall trend line is still positive ever since we bottomed out. Just looking at it now, we bottomed out on November 21st at 83K US. and we're now at 89K US. The overall trend line since then is still positive. Like, we haven't returned to that rock bottom moment after the come down of the all-time high. Trend line's still positive. I think we're just going to see this slow crab continue.
What do you know about bonds, and more specifically Japan bonds? Do you know, can you articulate what the heck is going on? Because I've seen a few tweets and reports around the traps of Japan's in a bit of a pickle, but it seems to have been in a bit of a pickle since like the late 80s. And then the Australian bond yields, what was it, the 30-year or was it the 10? One of them is ripping, and it's kind of having, I guess, downstream effects on mortgage rates and things like this. Again, we might need to get Andrew Page back on the show, and he can be our guru. But what do you know?
You definitely need a professional voice to come and explain it, because Japan is just this spaghetti junction of weird financial products and stuff. You know, you read about the yen carry trade phenomenon that's been existing ever since their financial crash in the 80s. And, you know, because Japan is the third biggest economy in the world, maybe fourth biggest after US, Euro, China. So they're obviously a big player, a big part of this global financial system that we've built. And, you know, since we've got this massive debt-based system, everything's intertwined. And so if something drastic happens in Japan, it's going to have massive blowback effects to the global economy. And we saw the effect of that just this last 24 hours, with this Japan bond yield spike following a sell-off of Japanese bonds. Now, I don't necessarily understand the underlying mechanisms, so you might need to, you know, get your expert on or go and talk to your favorite chatbot to get it to explain it to you. But basically, because it is just so entwined with global markets, and, you know, Japan owns a lot of US debt and a lot of other countries' debt, and generally, because their country is still in just a crappy state as a result of their financial collapse in 88, 89, 90, trouble there means trouble everywhere. And that's what we're seeing. And that includes Bitcoin. So that's why we've seen with this bond yield spike in Japan, and following off this massive sell-off, because they get into trouble again, as they always do. We saw Bitcoin's price crash again. Well, not really crash, but come down off of its... it looked like it was back. As I said, you know, last week we were back, and then we're not again because of Japan.
We had one last year as well, 2025. Didn't they unexpectedly raise their rates, and that caused an absolute shitstorm, didn't it?
Yes.
Bitcoin crash, stock market off 3-4%.
Because that was basically starting to unwind what's called the yen carry trade. So Japan's rates have notoriously been zero or negative. So what people could do is this bit of this glitch in the financial system where you could go and borrow money in Japan and then take that and invest in assets elsewhere, including Bitcoin. And so when Japan starts to raise those rates, that scares all these investments out of the yen carry trade. So they start selling all their investments, whether it be Bitcoin, real estate, stock markets, whatever, all over the world. Because they had cheap money from Japan, suddenly they have to sell it all. It causes a liquidation event, causes sell-offs, causes prices to dump. And so we'll probably see that happening again over the next few days, as people get scared.
Humans being humans, hey?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, yeah, Japan causing trouble.
Causing trouble as per. Well, I remember back in the day, I watched a documentary called Princes of the Yen. I don't know if anyone recalls that documentary, but the guy's name is based on a book written by Werner somebody, and basically he came up with the term quantitative easing, and was like the dude that sort of named that term, which all the central banks, of course, have but because I'm pretty sure, if I recall correctly, the Central Bank of Japan were the ones that kind of first really turned on the money taps and sort of thought, how good can we rip asset prices in order to, you know, maintain parity. So it's an interesting documentary if you're into that sort of stuff. The Princes of the Yen. I remember watching it and just nodding along, going, I have no idea what they're talking about. You're looking for a hassle-free way to buy Bitcoin in Australia? Hardblock makes it easy. As Australia's longest-running Bitcoin-only exchange, their mission is to help Australians simply and easily buy Bitcoin and take it into self-custody. There are no deposit or trading fees, just a clear 2.4% spread. That covers operating costs, so you always know exactly what you're paying. Withdrawals are just $1.18 or as low as 400 sats with AutoSend. There are no hidden charges, no surprises, just a fast, reliable and easy way to stack sats with total transparency. Get started today at hardblock.com.au. Bitcoin made easy for Aussies. Let's pivot because this has been interesting and this caught all the headlines around. It's hard to gauge now, but there was a story about aliens and central banks late last week, and the headline: the UK must plan for a financial crisis that would be triggered if the US government announces that aliens exist. This is a former Bank of England expert, Helen McCaw. She served as a senior analyst in financial security at the UK's central bank, and she wrote a letter to Mr. Andrew Bailey, who is the Bank of England's governor, urging him to set out contingencies in case the White House ever confirms the existence of alien life. This is according to the UK Times. What are they talking about?
Well, Stan, do you believe in aliens? Do you think aliens are out there?
I believe there's something out there that they know that we don't, for sure. Yep.
I'm on Tom DeLong's side for sure, but I just don't understand what that has to do with central banking.
Yeah, well, then the follow-up question is, if aliens are real and they were confirmed on the government, would you panic sell everything? Would you sell your Bitcoin? Would you sell your house? Would you sell your stocks?
I think we're too busy to concentrate on that, aren't we? Haven't they set that up? Haven't they set up that society now where we're too worried about how to put food on the table, where the next dollar's coming from, savings are evaporating before our eyes, how am I ever going to retire? I think they've set this society up in a way where those disclosures sort of, they'll get a few headlines, but in a week's time, business as usual.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I think that if they are, this article is kind of silly because they are massively overestimating the public reaction to such knowledge. I think that if that was on the news the next day, unless a craft had literally landed and there were little green men popping out and they were laser gunning people and vaporizing them, maybe people would give a shit. But if it's just there's aliens, they're 10 trillion light years away, we'll never interact with them, but they're definitely here, people would forget about it in a day.
Do you want Mars Attacks or Independence Day?
Am I Will Smith in the movie?
Can be. I'll be Jeff Goldblum.
Independence Day. Give me Independence
Maybe Jeff
Day,
Goldblum's
for
dad. Guy's hiding under a desk.
Yeah.
Isn't it strange though? Aliens wouldn't even move the needle on most people's consciousness nowadays. They're just, okay, yeah, and then they'd crack on. As you said, they're so preoccupied with just trying to get on and sort out the basics, and not speak out of turn in case they offend someone. And these kinds of things, they just keep coming down the barrel, and it just kind of makes me think that they're just sort of testing the waters for some kind of trust event. They're, in my estimation, these people are the worst of the worst of the worst. Central bankers are warmongering scammers, and this is just another little, we'll push this across the table and see if anyone takes a nibble. And obviously we're talking about it, so we're giving it energy, but it's kind of the game, right? Anyway, these people are very unimpressive.
Oh yeah, they're psychopaths, and the disclosure I think we'll get, if they do have this coveted disclosure thing, it will be the biggest letdown. People have been obsessing over this for their entire lives. Disclosure will be something like, aliens exist and they're too far away for it to ever impact your life. but they exist. Just trust us. That'll probably it. That's 99% chance what disclosure will be, and then you'll get back to being a debt slave. That's it. But whenever I see headlines like this, I always think about something called Project Blue Book, which any conspiracy enthusiast will have come across. Project Blue Book is this classic psyop to basically fake an alien invasion or fake aliens being here so that we all suddenly drop all of our humanity level angst against other nations and other people and everything, because we need to unite under a single one world government against the alien threat. So that's what I think every time I see a headline like this. It's like they're kind of testing the waters, buttering up, so that one day they'll do a disclosure and say, aliens are here, we need to all unite and put all your faith in the United Nations to lead us in the charge against the aliens. So I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of it until a ship lands in my backyard, an alien pops out and either blows my head off or shakes my hand. I just won't trust anything the government releases. I just won't. And I think that's the best mindset to have, personally.
Don't you think that's bad that they've kind of rug pulled that childhood awe that we all once had? Like, it's almost like you have to work against. To be honest, if there was aliens and they rocked up and they did blow your head off or shake your hand, I'd be like, fuck, that's really cool. Okay, right on. Like, I'd try and maintain, I don't know, some semblance of awe rather than fear. And I don't know, like it just frustrates me that they just these parasitic bureaucrats, politicians, bankers, they all seem to want to suck the joy and enthusiasm out of everyone. And maybe that's why they turned to cricket. But then, of course, if anyone looks at the state of sport nowadays, I mean, good grief, we'll get to this, but the quality is just not there. It's like fiat is everything that's downstream of fiat, which is a lot of things, downstream of money, is suffering right now. And I think it's our duty to kick against the pricks, as they say. And yeah, that's why we Bitcoin. But yeah, aliens probably exist. I don't know what that has to do with central banking, other than it's just a nice little lever for them to pull because they're psychos, as you said, Mike.
Well, there is one thought, just to bring it back to Bitcoin, is obviously one of the first questions you'd ask the aliens if they know what Bitcoin is, or you want to tell them about Bitcoin, or ask if they've got something similar. But a thought that I have in connection to Bitcoin with aliens is, you do wonder if there is some galactic civilization out there, and maybe they have a checklist that a race, that a species has to reach before they will reach out and connect with you and bring you into the galactic empire or whatever it is. And one of those things could be something like a sovereign money that is not controlled by an individual or nation state, like Bitcoin. And so that could be like a checklist, like literally Bitcoin could be a checklist on the galactic alien civilization minimum entry requirements, and
whether
so we
it's
could
worth
be
their time to visit us or not,
yeah,
or just leave us alone.
It's like, oh, they're still playing with government funny fake bucks. No, we can't chat with these monkeys on the rock. We got to wait.
Or if
for them
one of the aliens is Satoshi, that would be the one, wouldn't it? That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Yeah,
Satoshi is an alien. Dig it. We always lag a little bit behind. We did that promo back in August with Rise Mofo. Shout out to Jesse and the guys, where we tried to get adoption of that customer base into Bitcoin, and with mixed results. We don't obviously have the power, and certainly I'm sure Rose Mofo doesn't either, of a Steak and Shake. But they've added $10 million to their balance sheet. They already adopted Bitcoin, like the ability to transact with Bitcoin at all Steak and Shake stores across America. I think just last year during the last Bitcoin conference. But news of a $10 million Bitcoin buy, effectively, where the the business is purported to, the logic is that they want to upgrade and continue accumulating Bitcoin in a meaningful way. And it's you can buy a burger with Bitcoin. There's a nice novelty in that, similar to, buying your coffee or a bacon egg roll with Bitcoin. It is fun. It's cool. Do you have any ideas or any kind of notions in and around this $10 million corporate treasury buy? I guess it's cool that they're not asking you to invest as a Bitcoin treasury company. They're just doing it because they want to be sustainable into the future.
Yeah, well, it's about them. They've got their own strategic Bitcoin reserve, and every time someone pays in Bitcoin at a Steak and Shake shop, it's just going straight to that strategic Bitcoin reserve. So they're not just flipping it over to US dollars and yeah, they're keeping that as Bitcoin, which is nice. And then they just decided, hey, we're just going to throw a bit more in the pot. I think this is the kind of Bitcoin treasury company, in quotes, activity that I like. I think this is awesome. This is the right way to do it. You accept Bitcoin for your goods and services. You provide a good product. You provide good food, whatever it is, even though it's probably a bit sloppish. It's better than just like these other Bitcoin treasury companies, which is just like, hey, we're just buying Bitcoin. Buy our shares. Like to me, that's ridiculous. But a company that's doing what Steak and Shake does, this is awesome. You accept Bitcoin at your shops, and you're also keeping it on your balance sheet as a strategic reserve, as a hedge against the US dollar. That's awesome. That's what I love to see. So this is finally, this is some good news in a dearth of bad news and doom pilling and black pilling. This sort of thing is good. I like this.
It's genuine as well, right? I think everyone can probably say that you can sense that it's not just a virtue signal now after this all these years and putting it on balance sheet. And I think I read somewhere as well they might be creating like a personal reserve or like a 20 cent per hour allotment to Bitcoin per employee as well.
Oh, cool. That's cool.
Which is really cool. So then they've got this sort of the whole ecosystem covered, and they're enrolling these enrolling employees into this Bitcoin mantra.
It's kind of like a pension plan almost, like that's
it's really cool. Really, really cool idea. And no one's forcing them to do that, right? That 20 cents or whatever it is. So fascinating. Really interesting to see what the employees say about it. I'm sure there's not that many original Bitcoiners sort of working there. It'd be fascinating to see what the response is there early versus what it is now. What new employees think when they start now. Is it attracting employees? That's another one. So yeah, it would be fascinating to understand.
Well, it's definitely attracting customers. I do remember reading that ever since Steak and Shake announced accepting Bitcoin, they saw huge spikes in just customers. Not necessarily people paying in Bitcoin, but just more customers across the board since they announced the acceptance of Bitcoin. So definitely from a business perspective, it seems like it's a really good choice. But yeah, I'd be curious to see what employees think about Bitcoin and about the company now. I'd wager it's generally pretty positive.
I like the idea that you can earn, like, whether or not it's 20 cents, whatever you said in the dollar, or of your income. This notion, like with Bitcoin being a harder money, a deflationary currency, it gets harder over time, and your purchasing power goes up. You could, if you wanted to, if you genuinely enjoyed flipping burgers or working at the desk or just working at a fast food restaurant or whatever, like any of these, when I was coming up, there'd be, you'd work in hospo and you'd always get that question, when are you getting a real job? When are you going to get a real job? And like for a period of time there, like I genuinely liked working in hospo, and it was cool and it was fun.
Yeah.
And like that is a genuine real job. Like I don't understand just because you have to put on a suit and tie and sit in a cubicle, that ain't a real job. But that's just a cultural thing. But this notion that you could continue to Deliveroo, whatever, you could flip burgers at Macca's, you could stack shelves at Woolies and just be chill. Like maybe your lifestyle suits that, you've got nothing going on in the evenings, fine to do that. You can do that job and like it's economically viable. I mean, we need those jobs. Like I need the shelves to be stacked when I go in.
Yep.
I need the garbage to be collected. You know, there's these are crucial roles to make my life slightly easier.
Yeah.
You know, and the fact that you could continue to do that and increase your purchasing power year on year on year, like that's a pay rise, baby. That's awesome.
Yes. You're hitting on like a fundamental problem of the fiat currency system that we've built, where obviously inflation rears its head, cost of living increases, not just because of inflation, because of other silly government policies and stuff that we're dealing with. But you want to live in a society where people, even doing these really basic jobs at the bottom, can still buy houses, can still do the basics. Because if you don't have that, your society will literally collapse. Because unless you have perfect automation and robot slaves and stuff that can do all the shit kicker jobs. Well, sorry, that's a bit disparaging, but you know the low tier jobs that might not pay as well. But as soon as people can't afford to live off of that basic stuff, then suddenly these services will go away, and society will just start to grind to a halt. And it's an outcome of fake crap money where people can't buy houses anymore off of a basic job, even though 30 years ago they could.
Yeah, well, I know of places here in Australia where essential services like ambulance, police, fireys, they can't afford to live in the place that they're servicing as that community service, and they have to move out. Like there's plenty of those places where the town itself, the city itself, is so expensive, and you cannot keep up with the mortgage in the role that you've trained for, that you're very good at, and that is absolutely essential and crucial. I just don't understand how that is sustainable. It's obviously not.
I still remember, you know, it was not too long ago where, you know, you could be an employee at Macca's in Australia, earn your wage, still be able to afford a holiday once a year, as all Australians do, and still be able to pay the rent, right? Doesn't feel like to me that's the case anymore. And if we think about the cohorts that it sort of typically attracts, it's sort of that early age sort of entry level into the workforce, and then naturally, as you're probably seeing more often now, is sort of the ones closer to retirement or in retirement or requiring to add a little bit of extra income to be able to get by at that stage of life, right? So yeah,
Side hustle. You go and work at Bunnings. I mean, it's a fear that I've had. I mean, it's probably, I don't know. Again, no disrespect to anyone who works at Bunnings, but I mean, I don't want to be like 65, 70 and be rolling in on the weekend to Bunnings or an equivalent just to supplement some income, just to make sure that I can continue eating that week or whatever it is. I mean, not everyone, obviously I'm painting with a very broad brush here, but when I'm like 65, I want to be not doing that. Let's put it that way. You know, it's kind of shitty. Like you've given good service, you've worked your butt off, you've paid your taxes, you've done all the things that are correct and true, and you get there and your pension might not be quite sufficient, or it's been taxed out the wazoo, or whatever the case may be, and you literally have no other choice but to go and get what could only be described as a side hustle, particularly if you're of retirement age. It's like everyone has to do a side hustle just to get on.
Is it a side shuffle?
It's insane. Yeah, side shuffle. I love it. Quantum computing. Let's pivot. Everyone else is talking about it. We might as well just put our 2 sats in. Apparently, it's a giant threat to the $2 trillion Bitcoin network, and BTQ Technologies have just launched the Bitcoin Quantum fork and testnet to enable, I guess, developers to feel their way around this potential threat of quantum computing and decrypting all of the SHA-256 encryption methods that Bitcoin relies upon. I haven't really dived too much into quantum. I feel like it's a bit too far away. It's kind of like aliens for me. I certainly don't have a fully formed opinion, but I'm hoping that you do, Mike.
My opinion on quantum is that it's a bit of a... You're exactly right, actually, with the alien thing. Because every time... Because we keep getting... Like with the alien story, we keep getting these like soft disclosure hints and news articles that drop out every now and then you actually go and dig deeper and it's complete nothing. nothing burger. It's bogus statements. It's nothing that can actually be verified. And it's the same thing with quantum. You've got all these companies that say, "Oh, new milestone reached, new thing reached with quantum," but then you dig into it and it's like, "Oh, but this is still decades away from actual viability in terms of like a meaningful real world computation. Like it's all this theoretical stuff, and it's not, the energy that goes into it is just untenable to actually do anything in the real world, so to speak, let alone start to crack a network like Bitcoin or the banking system or encryption for secret intelligence agencies or whatever." And that still is the case. Like there's no breakthroughs or anything that really are moving the needle in quantum. And I still don't think that there's any like imminent threat. That being said, it is still a possibility that maybe at some point within 5 years, maybe 10 years, and people do say it could be sped up by AI now, that it could happen. And so it's probably a good idea to be at least thinking about it in order to safeguard things for the Bitcoin network. So I am glad that people are thinking about it. And it sounds like these guys are actually throwing their hat into the ring with a solution, which is good, to basically, fork Bitcoin with a version that is quantum resistant. Now, the issue with this is that obviously with it being a fork, this will need consensus. It will need people to actually say, yes, we accept this change. Yes, we're going to switch our nodes and our mining operations over to support this new fork of the protocol. Now, that's going to be very interesting because obviously it's existential. If quantum is true and is happening, then it's an existential threat to the livelihood of miners and node operators and people storing Bitcoin, holding Bitcoin. So they're going to want to do it. But it still takes kind of this game theory to play out where everyone needs to accept that this is a reality and we need to switch to the new technology. And we need to make sure that there's no exploits or sneaky things in there that is going to cause, it's your classic, when you're building software, you do an update which fixes a problem, but if you don't test it properly, it could create, exploits or problems elsewhere. And so obviously we want to make sure this is done correctly. So it's good that it's starting now, even though I think quantum is on the very far horizon, starting now so that we can do really robust testing and make sure that it is the right thing so that more people are more likely to jump onto the new fork when it launches. It's good to start early, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Yeah. There's some pretty smart people in Bitcoin, right? So I'm glad that those minds are concentrating on that. I'm fascinated to know where do you reckon most of the funding would come from for some of these, for that business, for example? Do you think that's from? Are we talking Bitcoin related entities, or are we talking sort of bigger tech capitalists that are sort of putting their money in there?
Well, in theory, it's just going to be the people that have the most to lose off of Bitcoin being threatened by quantum. They're going to be the ones that are more likely to pony up the funding to research into quantum resistant Bitcoin. So we're talking the biggest mining companies, biggest Bitcoin treasury companies. So obviously Strategy will hopefully pony up some cash to fund this kind of development. That'll be an interesting one to watch because Saylor himself, Michael Saylor from Strategy, has come out historically and said that he's always a bit apprehensive to fund Bitcoin development. He supports ossification, which is a fancy word to say no more changes. But obviously, if quantum computing is real, then he needs it to change. Otherwise, his 3% of the entire circulating supply held by Strategy is at risk. So he's kind of going to have to come to the party somehow. Individual stackers, I can't really see them. Like there's probably going to be more open source. There's plenty of open source funding charities that you can donate funds to, and it like OpenSats is one, for example. Brink, what's another? There's another one out there. they get donations from everyday Bitcoiners, and that goes to development, not specifically quantum related, but it might become more quantum related as that problem becomes more relevant. But yeah, really, the answer to your question is anyone who holds Bitcoin and wants it to keep working in a quantum world is going to be incentivized to make sure that happens.
The thing I like about this is it's at least a solution rather than just fear mongering. It's the first quantum story that I've read where it's like, cool, clocked it, could be a problem. Let's at least try and figure out something, and here's something that we can do to at least address it, rather than, oh, it's a threat, we should fear it, we should be scared. Satoshi's coins will all get moved and everything will be ruined. So, the positivity from the fact that they're just like, cool, got it. Let's actually work on this in a meaningful way. Obviously, the incentives of funding notwithstanding. So that pretty much does it for the news wrap, and we've been kind of ripping for about 50 minutes here, which is cool. I mean, I wanted to back end this with some sport talk, with some water cooler talk. I want to find out, Stan, obviously captain of the Bitcoin Cricket Club, what is it in the water over there in Perth that makes the sports teams, and there's not too many to draw from, but let's put it this way, there's more sports teams on the western side of the country than there are on the eastern side of the country, willing to put the word Bitcoin into their business. I'm thinking, of course, of the Perth Heat, the baseball team, who had a brief flirtation with Bitcoin, led by, obviously, their former CEO, Steve Nelkovsky. And I don't know if that panned out or not. I haven't heard many updates. There was a lot of noise. But what is it about Perth? What is it about sport over there? And what is it about you guys attaching yourself to Bitcoin? Why did you call your cricket club the Bitcoin Cricket Club?
Yeah, totally. It's funny you say, because Steve and I met up when he first sort of went down that initiative with the Perth Heat. So it was pretty, it was a sort of a big deal locally within the Bitcoin community. So I went out and visited Steve when he was at Perth Heat, and ran through what it is he's was looking at doing at the time, and all the implementations that he did through the entity itself, and with fans, and from a sports entertainment perspective, super inspirational sort of venture that he went down. And his ability to get that over with the board there was quite special, and by all accounts, it worked well whilst he was there. I've always had a passion in sport, and it's a big part of what we're doing over here in WA. Beautiful weather all the time, so we don't have to worry about getting rained out as often as other cricket clubs and whatnot. So, yeah, look, it was born from the inspiration that Steve and the Perth Heat sort of kicked off, lit a bit of a fire under what we saw at the cricket club. In a lot of ways, we're probably no different than the rest of the smaller businesses out there, and to a different extent, the people out there. It's tough to keep a community club running, tough for numbers, tough for sponsors, tough for money. But at the end of the day, it's sort of one of those things that health, community, and general awareness for something like Bitcoin that we know is going to be of benefit to the wider community. That was the sort of the driving force behind it initially, almost a year and a half ago now.
So you were obviously a Bitcoiner, and then you went and kind of incepted this idea, and it obviously got approved and adopted and got consensus amongst the powers that be that needed to sort of vote for it. And it is as much about sort of making the cricket team, the cricket club, financially sustainable. I mean, you mentioned over the last year, so you could infer with the price action over the last 12 months, you're probably hovering around neutral or thereabouts. But that aside, I guess, was it driven by being financially sustainable as a small grassroots cricket club, making sure that the cricket club could survive? And then actually calling it the Bitcoin cricket team, has that helped or hindered sort of people that don't really get what you're talking about? Are you like the weird esoteric cricket? Oh, we've got the Bitcoin cricket team this weekend. Cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, or has it been like, has it sparked some curiosity?
Yeah, I think that's probably the perfect word, curiosity. Even within the community itself and the team and the squad and, past players and the like. It's been either neutral or positive. There's nothing that I've seen from that's come back negative, which is super to see. And I think at the end of the day, most people know as well. This is for the benefit of the cricket club. This is not pushing an agenda, or we're not the Ethereum cricket club or something like that. So I think there's an element there that people inherently understand. We do our best with communication of that as well. I would sort of term or see this as more of an awareness piece than anything. It's a nice opportunity to introduce people to seeing the word Bitcoin in an environment where they're probably not expecting to see it. A little bit of shock there, and then it gives the people an opportunity to say, okay, cool, there is something here. This is a bit more mainstream, or it is a bit more trusted than what their preconceived notions might be to it. But yeah, plenty of questions about it, but all positive or neutral.
Okay. We obviously, just to shill our own bag here for a minute, we've been obviously sponsoring the Player of the Match, offering $100 worth of Bitcoin for the Player of the Match. And I've got to shout out to Corey, who is the only player of the match thus far who has claimed his prize. So there's a bit of work to do from Sam Chitty and Mr. Ben Brown and a couple of others, Luke Robinson. So, the price is being what it is. You could get a tidy sum. I mean, it could rip higher and you could get less Bitcoin. It's up to you. But we'll make sure that you guys get all of that by the time the season ends. Are you having a good season?
Season's going pretty well, yeah. So I think we're sitting third or fourth at the moment. So we've made the semi-finals for the one day comp, which we do a 40-40 through that. So in a couple of weeks we've got a semi and hopefully a GF a few weeks later. And then the overall competition, which sort of includes your red ball cricket, your 2-day stuff, we're sitting reasonably well there. So I would hope that we'll be seeing some finals action as well.
It's been a minute since I've played competitive cricket, but so the 2 days, I see they tend to happen over a week period. So, for instance, there was a fixture on the 8th and the 15th of November. So any kind of momentum, like, how does that work? Do you just run through your overs on that first weekend and then establish in the second, or?
Correct. Yeah, you basically have an allotment of 80 overs to get through on one day, and if you sort of ball a team out, or if they don't make it through to the last 8 overs or so, you call it quits and come back next week. It's probably on the back of making sure that there's still some long form cricket in the game. And making sure that people typically, so in England, for example, they would never do that because the pitches are very different from week to week, probably because of the weather. Australia, we can get away with that. And it also means we're not playing a Saturday and Sunday in the same weekend, which can be pretty time consuming for us, as we know.
Definitely. And then you've also you mentioned your 1 days, and there's also T20 versions of, so does that mean you're fielding 3 teams? Made up of maybe similar players, or are they? How does that all work?
Yeah, that's correct. It's pretty much, I would say, sort of you're probably typically only rotating out 2 or 3 players maximum between the 3 teams. That's probably largely numbers based. Your best players or your best 14 are pretty much your best 14, and it might depend on makeup based on where you're playing or what team you're playing. You might select one over another.
Are the players adopted this Bitcoin mantra? Are they on board, or is it just kind of like a select few of you and the rest are going along with it? What's the vibe in the
Yeah,
in the shed.
there wouldn't be a week where the word Bitcoin's not mentioned. So that's something, especially if it's doing well or poorly from a price perspective. But obviously with, your and El Hard Block's contribution, we know for a fact that that's being mentioned at least once a week. And we're super grateful that we've got that opportunity to reward our players for their efforts, and also bring a little bit more awareness to what it is that we're doing. So we certainly don't push that on our players, but they know it's there. And last season, they received their ball fees from a sponsor each week, so that accumulated in their Bitcoin wallets. And I don't think anyone sold it from that season. So everyone that received it, all the players, that is, they've hodled through the up and probably the down now as well. So probably about neutral.
You got to pay that tuition.
Correct.
I want to go back to what we were talking a little bit before, the degradation of the quality of sport. And I guess we're not necessarily talking, sort of community cricket or grassroots cricket, but I mean, just the top tier sport. I don't know if you've noticed, but I mean, let's look at the test match series, the test series that happened over the summer. Here, England were garbage, and to be honest, it was too quick. Like two day tests. I don't know. I'm a big fan of like settling in, even though I don't get to watch every single minute of every single over. I do enjoy that long, slow narrative build that happens over the course of a 4 or 5 day match. And I must admit to being slightly disappointed. Yeah, Travis Head was great. He was phenomenal. But it was kind of like watching T20 or the Big Bash. And I don't know, it just didn't have, it sort of lacked finesse, if I'm being right. And then I see that in all sorts of other codes as well. This either it's just like the match is going at hyper speed, or the skill set isn't quite, maybe it's not as raw as what it used to be. I mean, I'm a huge fan. I can find myself flipping through Instagram reels, for instance, and there'll be like some old footage from Mark Waugh, Steve Waugh, Gilchrist, Shane Warne. I can just watch Shane Warne bowl all day, and it just gives me thrills. It's like watching Michael Jordan. But that's not there. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm older now and it's just not resonating properly.
No, I think that's a really fair comment. We obviously saw that with the Ashes, and it was a sort of a talking point amongst both, the media pundits and sort of from a community or a general fan perspective. It's really quite funny because I think it does come back down to grassroots and that sort of stuff as well. I think it's all related. I don't think sport or community sport or grassroots or pathway sports is any different to any other industry. I think the fiat mind or the fiat approach has impacted all that stuff. Time preference isn't there. That's probably a nice way to term where we're at from a sporting perspective at that top level. They've got huge schedules now that they probably didn't have back then. They can earn a lot of money doing, 3-4 week stints overseas for very little work with the IPL and with a couple more months, but that sort of thing. So the other piece is, kids now growing up as a result, they don't want, from a cricket perspective, they don't want to sit there and play all day, every day, and parents don't have the time or the ability to take them and watch them and nurture that stuff that probably the generations gone before have. As a result, games get shorter, quicker. It's a bit more fast paced. You're in, you're out, but overall, you're playing more cricket because that's what you're told to do through your contract and all your media commitments and the broadcasting rights. That's what it all comes down to as well, doesn't it?
Mm. The Big Bash League has I've only just come around to it over the last couple of years in terms of like actively wanting to watch it, and I think I shied away from it because I just didn't really. I was a huge fan of one days, right, and the one day series, and it's disappointing that the touring teams come out now and we don't have that competition between the two other touring sides, over the summertime, because obviously there's fond memories as a kid, watching Michael Bevan one night on a Sunday, just saving the day kind of thing, or Shane Warne out on 99. And again, I don't want to like retreat into nostalgia for the sake of it, but there's just something about that era, I suppose. And I notice a lot of younger kids, they'll talk about that being missed, and they'll just get to see it through a screen, and they'll be like, man, we used to like have proper competitions. And the Big Bash League is good. I wonder, I have aspirations maybe to sponsor the Strikers one day, the Adelaide Strikers. We might get there. But this, as you were saying, to your point, the kids that are going to that game, they're watching that game, that's kind of the main thing. And so their entire orientation towards the game of cricket is shifting to this faster pace. I mean, the Hurricanes and the Stars, they played 10 overs because of the rain. And you could almost see like an advertiser potentially going, well, that was cool. Maybe we could do 2 games within the evening sort of thing. And again, it just gets quicker and quicker and quicker. And at what point do we finally see I don't know, people talk about the death of Test cricket all the time, but it keeps on. But maybe one day we will, where the younger kids just like, what am I doing? 5 days? No thanks.
I think that's super possible at the moment, yeah. I know in England and around the world they've got what they call 100-ball cricket now. So 100 balls each side, so less than your T20s. So the precedent's been set on that front. And I think the other piece to it as well, the pitches aren't what they used to be. Drop-in pitches, quality, or the resources that get behind investment into those pitches, whether or not you can get conspiratorial into this sort of stuff, whether or not that's actually what they want, stuff that's shorter and more fun and gets more headlines. But yeah, that's a big contributing factor to it as well. So there's a lot of things that, particularly in cricket, that contribute to sort of that shift to sort of smaller, small attention span, watching of cricket and whatnot.
Psyops everywhere, even in cricket. Unbelievable.
You said the magic word conspiracies, and my ears perk up.
Yeah.
There's always something somewhere. But yeah, I think you're right. Where our attention spans are short because of smartphones and social media and all that crap, scrolling. So stuff has to adapt, I guess. To our new short attention spans.
Absolutely.
All right. So the question then is, does Bitcoin fix this?
Bitcoin can fix this, can't it?
In what way would you? I mean, obviously you're adopting it as a cricket team, and you're accepting this as a financial instrument to ensure the sustainability, long-term sustainability of the club. Does it go beyond that?
I think it goes beyond that. I think for want of a better way of putting it, you fix the money, you fix the world, don't you? So a lot of the root cause of a lot of these problems, and you might not see it at face value, but it all comes back down to the money. It all comes back down to the time that we have and our inability to store our time and energy into the future. Whether or not that's I go back to the parents not having the time to help or drop their kids off at sport. Like from my perspective, that's where a lot of this comes from. And I get it, Mum and Dad both have to work now, and they both have to work full time, and they can't get out of work early or during the day. So yeah, I think it goes a bit deeper than we think it does.
You're dead right. It's like previously you like the fact that our society was so good that you could set aside 5 days to watch a sport and not have a care in worrying about where your money's going or where it's coming from and all this sort of thing. You can just sit back and enjoy the cricket for 5 days. It's this, because we have this fake money and we're chasing we're trying to deal with debts and all these things and piling up and having to have your side hustle and all that sort of stuff. You just don't have the time. Even if you sat down to watch a day of cricket, you're still thinking about, I need to go and do this to make some cash over here and do that. And yeah, it comes from our inability to save and the devaluation of our fake funny money.
Yep. And this, this young generation coming through that, we would hope would be our future sports stars or whatever. What are they required to do to get by, to pay rent? They can't concentrate wholly on their art or their passion, because if they do, then who's going to look after them? Where are they going to live?
Yeah. I got excited when Steve was talking about the Perth Heat and having QR codes attached to each players, and you could literally zap them sats when they made a particular play that you enjoyed or liked. And it was such a cool, innovative thing. And obviously it was super early, and sometimes you're ahead of the wave, sometimes you're behind the wave. I think Steve got super ahead of the wave, but it's definitely something that should catch on. And I think, even at grassroots level, if you could, if there were everyone that's come to watch the game, if there were players that had their own, lightning address effectively, and you could, zap them sats for hitting a 4, 6, scoring the winning run, whatever the case is, that is a way I think that could certainly make sport more exciting. And then incepting this thing, I don't know, man. I feel like, it's just like everything. It's kind of got to get really, really shitty before people start to go, you know what? Is there something that we can do to fix this? And at that point, the door will be open and you can walk across it, which is cool. Stan, the Bitcoin Cricket Club. Let me get the address. It is bitcoincricketteam.com. You have an Instagram page. You haven't been deleted off Instagram yet, which is cool. Congratulations. You got a Twitter instance as well. You can follow along at Bitcoin Cricket on Instagram, and I think it's the same for Twitter as well. We'll put it all in the show notes for people to follow along. And man, thanks for coming on the Australian Bitcoin podcast. It's been a pleasure hosting you and getting your insight into grassroots cricket and the macro stuff as well. I'm sure you're we didn't really ask about your journey, but maybe we could do that another time where we can figure out how you defragged your brain from the fiat finance world and came across to woke up to yourself and came over to Bitcoin.
It was nearly amputation and replacement. That's where it was.
Lobotomy. Very good. Very good.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for having me.
Gentlemen, Mike, thanks for joining us again, man. We will catch you in a couple of weeks' time for episode 106. But until then, be well and don't say anything hateful.
It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. It's my number one activity.